Okay, thank you for that. Yes. By the way, this session is being recorded. So I am going to share this. So thumbs up if you're seeing our main Center for Career Development page. Thank you so much. So first of all, I just want to provide some context, basically. So Focus 2 is essentially a tool that will help our students explore majors, occupations, career paths that will help them make informed career decisions. Now, that said, and it's usually found under exploring careers. Now, that said, and although each and every student has their own story, their own needs, if I were to broadly categorize them, I would use three categories. We have the students that have little idea about what it is they want to do going forward. So this is an excellent tool for them to really try various things out. You'll see as I do the demonstration, understand what majors are connected to what professions, what these professions provide in terms of salary, in terms of prospects, everything they might want to need. We also have that second category of students that are either, midway, they're still exploring, they want to explore other avenues, they got 2 or 3 top choices, but also, they want to explore other potential career paths. And we also have those that essentially in that same category that come across as knowing exactly what they want to do, but sometimes when you have a chat with them, it's probably what their parents told them they need to do, or what their peers have told them they should be doing. And deep down, they're saying, is this for me? I see this a lot with, both in engineering and pre-meds, yeah, I want to do this, but deep down, I feel it's not going to be a good fit for me. And even those that are, have a super clear understanding of what they want to do and want to go, they can still use this tool to acquire additional information about the professions they're interested in, because as you will see, there's a lot of information about the kind of skills that are valued, the kind of personality traits that are valued. So for them, as they build towards that career readiness, they're able also to tap into various sources of information that will reinforce their own perception of the job, but also allow them to better understand how they can take extra steps to prepare themselves and be really ready when the time comes for them to start to kickstart this career. So what I'm going to do, first of all, I'm going to show you where to find this tool. Okay, and there are various locations. So the easiest location, if is anyone, most of you are, I know, the exception of Ida, you also work with undergrads, yes?
Not as much anymore.
Not as much. Okay, fine, not as much. So let's start with the undergrad population, which is the biggest population. So there's 2 ways of accessing here. You can either go to exploring careers, okay, where it takes you straight there to that page where Focus 2 features, or let's go back again to who we serve undergrad. You can actually go to start here. And start here's you, and this is for other reasons. If you're looking for other resources for the students you're engaged with, here's a comprehensive list of various sections that may be of interest to you. So in this case, we will go down again to find explore careers, or up, not down. We'll click on this and we get to Focus 2. Once you get here, you click on Focus 2. And before we do that, for graduate students, now there's no section where you can go within the grad students and postdocs to find this, but you can either go through the undergrad, or you can even go up here where it says becoming career ready, and career ready has the link to the Focus 2 assessment. Okay, so there's various ways of getting there. Okay, I hope I'm not missing anyone. Now here, initially you would need to the student, or you, if you want to experiment with this, and feel free while we're doing this, if you want to have a second monitor, whatever, to open it up and do it yourself. Otherwise, just allow me to demonstrate. So create your Focus 2 account. So you create here, it automatically provides the keyword, which is Husky, okay? And here the student will have to, list their first name, their second name, confirm their email address, which has to be their university address, and then also create a username, a password, and select some statistics in terms of year of graduation, primary reason. These are all, are for metrics purpose, for reporting purposes, and how they heard about this. So let's go back now, because I'm going to actually use my existing account. Okay, so bear with me. Any questions at this point about the nature of this thing before we get right into it? Okay, so I'm going to log in. So so I'm in. So I have an administrative website view too. So, but I'm going to choose, for the purpose of this demonstration, this student website. Okay, so I click here, and there are various assessments. The first one you will see is actually the Am I Career Ready? But I want to leave this for last. I want to go over the other assessments first, and I'll get back to this. Not that this is the least, actually this is the most important of all the assessments, but I want to get back to that, because I think it's more important for students to potentially start with the other assessments that are listed below. So they're on the longish side, I would say, in some cases, which may not be great for knowing how limited the attention span is of students. So it's very important that before, in order for them to actually complete these tests, I won't call them tests, there are these assessments, these fun assessments, we should actually take the time to explain to them why it's an important tool to use, and why they should complete all the assessment tests, or the most of them at least. Okay, because if we don't really pitch this in a way that will make sense to them, then what happens, and we see this through our back-end statistics, is they come in, they do one test, and they never come back again. And that gives them very limited value. Okay, so our goal here is to have them do at least 3 out of 4 assessments you see here, plus the Am I Career Ready assessment. So let's start with the work interest. The work interest, it's self-explanatory. It's about helping students, I would say, identify occupations that provide the kind of work-related activities and tasks that they enjoy doing the most. There's always definitions for this, so it's not, you don't have to, say I didn't catch that yet. There's every step, as Ella will show you, there's definitions as to what each test is. It's also a way for them to actually visualize themselves doing a certain job, because when we provide context around the various questions, like you'll be doing this for this reason or that reason, then they immediately imagine themselves being there and saying, no, that's not for me, or that is something I would love. So I'm not going to start, I'm going to review my answers, my existing answers, which are just, chance, so don't pay too much attention to it. So, the question here is, to what degree do you enjoy doing the following? And as I scroll through, essentially you see, designing graphic art images and illustrations, researching things. So it tries to capture all categories pertaining to the nature of the work, and also the how should I put this, the projected outcome, the value of what they're doing. So it mixes both of them. So as we go through, you'll see again, some of them are just highlighting specific skills that will be required in this case, namely analyzing data, and doing it for hospital medical. So it goes back and forth and tries to provide multiple examples for different kinds of I won't say jobs, different kinds of tasks, I would say, and how enjoyable you would find them. So as you progress through this, and they do this whole thing, you come to the end, which I told you is quite long here. Okay, now at the end, what it does, it actually in order to help students better understand where they fit, it creates sort of a broad characterization based on 3 characteristics, which gives them what we call the interest Holland code. And this is the ACE, basically. So it says that predominantly you're someone who's artistic, okay, and you enjoy doing artistic things. You're someone who's social, you're someone who's enterprising, and to a lesser extent, conventional, realistic own thing, and explains what every one of this is. So you can have a quick look here, prefer to be expressive, and like the opportunities to create new things and be innovative, enjoy selling and promoting, having power and status, and the rest of it. And then as you go down the list, what's typically of less importance to the student, something they would enjoy less doing, which is, doing a scientific work, using technology, working independently, and the rest of it. So it gives them a sense. And when they're able to go through this, and this is something they can always print, okay, so they can produce this report for themselves. So they don't have to necessarily copy paste anything. Now when it gets really interesting, because here is actually based on their answers, they're able to go through a list that they can sort alphabetically by job family. I'll explain what this is basically in a bit, by various filters basically, and they can also do view majors for occupations or view occupation for majors, and typically it's more or less the same thing. But so if you look at this, for example, first of all, this is the job, you broadcast news analyst. These are the supporting majors offered by the University of Connecticut. This is the salary on average that's being offered, and these are generally speaking, the job family. You won't say much to the students, but it's good for us to be able to filter through that. But if you go back here, and for example, you click on, say, history, it will immediately take you to the major experience, the page that's dedicated to the history major. Okay. And that's very interesting because they can quickly go that. But if you click here on the job, it will provide you an overview of the occupation, okay, and what it entails, the job tasks. And these are very important, even for those who are pretty sure of what they want to do. This will provide them some solid insight as to what they need to focus on during interviews, in their resumes, in better understanding the role. And then it draws a comparison between your answers and the job, what the typical incumbent of the job actually shows in terms of this characteristic. So you'll see typically in this job, someone has a very high sort of a grade rate when it comes to artistic. Yeah, we're not too bad. We're above average here. So it does a comparative analysis basically, and then it highlights one of your selected skills. This is basically digging into some other assessments I've done. So ignore this for the time being. So it highlights values. This is only coming up now because I'll show you it then. But anyway, this is not usually here at this point in time. This shows up. These insights here show up when you've actually been able to combine all the assessment tests, and it creates one basic report. So now it taps into the various reports and says, oh, by the way, in terms of the assessment test that you took regarding your skills, which is the next one we'll talk about, these are the ones that you had highlighted are important in this specific profession. And further down, again, the major, it highlights the major. So there's a wealth of information. Then it tells you about the outlook for this job. There seems to be a decline here of 2%. And when talking about outlook, it measures the situation, what the demand for this job has been over the past 2 years, what it is now, and what will be for the next decade or not going forward. And then in terms of earnings, again, whether earnings, and then this is across the board. And these are live, essentially, real-time data that is fed in through the U.S. Department of Labor, which means this is regularly, I would say, updated. So the data is not static, it's dynamic. So with that, I want to go back to the next assessment. So before I do that, I want to bring up your questions, ask if anyone has any questions about this first assessment. Okay, there's a lot to go through. There's a lot of information, but I think for a student who's really wants to get as much insight as possible, it's a great place to go. The only challenge for me is that it's a lot, and maybe some of them, say, I need a real motive. And the problem we've seen is that sometimes they say, I'll get back to it after, and they never do. And we get it. They have other priority too. They have other tasks to do. So it's really important that, either we make a very strong pitch at the beginning in terms of, you being able to use this test, these assessments, this tool throughout your years here at UConn, or if we engage them on a regular basis, reminding them to go back to that focus 2 tool. So the next assessment.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, absolutely, far away.
So when you were just in that last survey, you said that some of that stuff only appeared because you had already taken the other assessments.
Yes.
So if a student hadn't already taken that, is there something at the end that would show them all of that?
Yes, it wouldn't show them. So what happens, what you saw basically is it's tapping. So as you see down here, it says combine assessments, and I've done it. I've combined 4 assessments. So I took 3 of these assessments plus the one at the top, and I combined it. Had I not combined them, it would not provide in the individual results, it would not provide. Let's do. I want to see if I can actually. Can I just? You see, you combine this basically. So you choose which one to combine. Okay, but I want to try to see if I can. Not do it. Oh no, if this will require me actually going back to every test and starting it over again. Now it's already combined the test. So in the interest of time, we can't do that. But my understanding is that it will only, the report you will see will only generate that additional information if you've actually taken the values assessment or the skills assessment. So it will only take into account the information that it has in its position based on your profile. Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
And so, yeah, so as you will see, for example, values and personality treatment assessment. And let me just see something very quickly, though. Give me a second, but because I told you, I'm quite new to this tool, too. So I'm just going to very quickly, I'm not going to be very quickly, because Jess, you have, it's an intriguing question. I just want to double check. Okay, that thing. So let's go further down. So here we are. Okay. So this education, and then if instead we click to the actual job, okay, skills, one of your selected skills, decision making, problem solving, reasoning, values. Yes, okay, so it picks on the values basically. Yes, so it does feed into this because these values are two ones that I remember putting in basically. This was not one of them, so I don't know what it's doing here. So yeah, good question. I will circle back on that just to make sure I'll do it from the beginning and compare and see what it brings, because that's important to know how rich that report is if they only do one or two tests, basically. Okay, so I'll circle back to all of you. Thank you for finding that. So the value, again, this is the same thing. So, values here, it's much shorter. You just choose 3 out of the, how many it is, 12, I think, values that are listed here. And again, the goal here is to identify occupations that are compatible with your work values, and that your work values are essentially job-related beliefs and ideas that are important to you. Okay, so now it's starting to bring everything together. So in this case, I put creativity, helping others, and influence. Then when you continue, it does exactly the same thing. It allows you to see various occupations that are in that space. Oh, what I forgot to mention beforehand, and I can do it here. Let me see if there's anything here. Okay, so you will see up here, there's something that says icon legend, and here, so icon legend basically is there's at some point you will see there's little icons next to the jobs. There's one here. So for example, if you click on icon legend, it'll tell you what this means. So for example, these are the saved ones. You have a thumbs up. The bright outlook is that this job is looking up in terms of prospects over the next decade or so. There are good prospects. The green job is something, as denoted by the actual title, a job that is affected by activities such as conserving energy, developing alternative energy, and the rest. And then major links is where essentially when you click on that, and that takes you to the major that provides more information. So there is that too. I forgot because the previous one I couldn't find it. So you'll see next to each job, the student can see one of these icons. It could be one of their saved jobs. It could be one, and there's also up here you can sort by salary too. Okay, so the bright outlook is the little sun I was telling you about. Saved occupation, and the one that doesn't exist here, but you can find from here, is through salaries. You can sort things by salary, okay, and you can see again what's in terms of sorting things in terms of top to bottom or on a reverse. And here you can click, you can sort of limit it to bachelor's degree or advanced degree, and you can switch things over. Minor changes, basically, whatever suits you better, basically. So occupation, and then so you have more focus now here on actually focusing on the occupations versus the majors. So there's many ways that the students can go about this. Okay, again, the job family tells them nothing. It's more for us, basically. Does that make sense? Okay, so I'm just going to see if there's anything else. You see there's tons of icons here. The little suns are all a positive outlook. It looks like every single job out there has a positive outlook. Don't know how true that is, but we will soon find out. So, and again, it's got additional information. It's got additional occupations that match 2 out of 3 values. So it goes down and says, okay, maybe it doesn't match all 3 values, but 2 of the 3 values. Here are some jobs that you can consider going forward. Okay. Going back to this, personality assessment. Okay, and so much has been said about personality tests and how things, but it is, I think it's important for students and us to understand that these are guiding tools. Okay, so it's not that, oh well, if this says there's this about me, then that's it. It doesn't change. It's carved in stone, because it has a lot to do with how honest the students are in responding to this, how clear they are about their own perception of who they are and how they're perceived by others. So come to that whole Jess, the whole concept of the brand. Okay, how do I perceive myself? How do other people perceive me? And sometimes it takes doing some assessments like this to truly realize who you are, and maybe discuss with some other people to better understand. That's a great building block to be able to build on that and then start pursuing your goals in a more sort of aggressive manner. So a personality assessment review, again, things like I've sort of clicked on these just by chance, so don't spend too much time looking through this. So what's important? Big picture, small picture. Do you like to be with people in a crowded room? Are you the person who actually instigates a conversation, or someone who likes to jump in later on, and all this, that kind of stuff basically that you typically see in so many of these personality tests. And once you're done with all this, it's not very long. It gives you an overview of your personality that you should reflect on. Again, it's important for them to understand that this is a tool that has generated something based on their own responses. It's not someone's telling them you're this. It's their own responses that's generating this result. And so they should go back and think about, okay, have I been really sincere about my answers? Okay, or they see something and they say, well, that's not really me. What did I sort of put in as an answer that made me believe that I'm like this? So it's a good sort of self-assessment, self-awareness, self-reflection tool for me. And also at the same time provides valuable insights about the career paths that these students are looking to pursue. And it always goes back to connecting whatever it is you're assessing to the actual majors and to the actual jobs. So again, once again, same thing goes back based on this. So each test, it doesn't mean that it will generate the same identical list. In fact, it'll be weird if it does. But at the end, that's why we do the all-in-one assessment at the end. It brings everything together, because then it gives them a more concise idea of the things. Because we do understand that, again, based on some of their answers, it could generate slightly different results. But they're trying to see what the common. So the last report, the goal of that last report is to see, okay, having done these 3 or 4 assessment tests, plus the Am I Career Ready part. No, I think the Am I Career Ready part is not actually connected. No, forgive me. The 4 tests that we're going through now, it's going to say, based on that, this is the common thread here. These are the professions. These are the majors connected to them. These are characteristics that seem to be a close fit with what it is that you are thinking about doing going forward. And then the last one, for me, on my side, I don't usually do this, but it's okay to do it. It's essentially, have I reviewed? I've done it. So I've done it. Again, it's about your spare time. Again, it's trying to connect what you enjoy doing outside work, outside class, and how that is in some way connected to your actual work interest, which it is. I mean, generally speaking, there are many of us who like to relax by doing things that we don't necessarily enjoy doing during our job, in terms of interest or even skills in some cases. But for the most part, there's a trend there. People who I know I don't like simplifying things, but for example, I remember when I used to recruit in the sort of corporate in financial services, if we had anyone applying for an audit position or risk management, and we saw that he was bungee jumping and doing extreme sports, well, that was not a good sign. Now we know that what we're doing was, well, inappropriate. We shouldn't anyway connect those. But again, people try to find connections between all these things to try to help the student himself or herself understand what it is they're interested in. And with that, the last part, sorry. is actually combining everything. So when you, as a 3 out of 4 completed, yeah, I think, I don't know why I did it 3 out of 4. I think, sorry, continue, and finish. Okay, so now if I go back, stay. Oh, I have to choose, sorry. So actually sometimes there's a tie. There's a tie between, based on your answers, whether, you know, you're sort of inquiring in terms of the nature of leisure activities that you take on, or reality based, or whatever that means, basically. So you have to choose what reflects you the best, and then you press continue, and then it will give you again, you know, some general characterizations about what this means. Again, this is leisure. I have to highlight that. Okay, leisure interest areas. And then if you continue, it will again do what it's been doing for the rest of the tests. And that's pretty much it. So going back now, it should show us 4 out of 4, which it does. And when you click on this, you can click which ones are interested. So let's say we click every single one of them. Okay, all 4 assessment tests. Now, okay, so it says, and you can create a PDF here. But again, now it starts to create some additional reports. So 2 occupations appear, 3 of the assessments you have completed. 34 occupations appeared in 2 of the assessments you completed. So this basically means that, in my book at least, students should aim for at least 3, I would say, even 2. You know, 1 doesn't give much value. So if I had to choose my favorite, and from my experience, and the one I've seen that most students enjoy, apart from a leisure interest, because I think they do it just for the fun of it. But in terms of informational value, I would say work interest is key, and followed by values, and then personality. Okay, this is what we used to have another one. We should got rid of it altogether because no one's using it. Okay, but so work interest is very important for those who are truly trying to understand what kind of nature of the work they want to be engaged in. And that the personality and the values are also very, very important for those who have a pretty good idea, and those who are still trying to discover things. So they can pull up, but it makes sense. I know some of them are a bit long, but it makes sense for them to conduct this, to complete these assessments, because once they do that, they have additional reports, and it really narrows down things. And so you can open this, for example, and it tells you, you know, on which test, work, values, personality, leisure. It gives you all the information you need. Okay, and anything else you need here, same thing here. Again, it gives you the same information, but now it's more, they've consolidated the information across 4 assessments. So I think this, and you can, you know, create your PDF, and it gives you a really nice report that you can reflect on and look at. And then, you know, there's other things you can do going forward. I'm trying to see. Scroll down. Anything down at the bottom. 2 additional occupations. Beyond that, pretty much it. Here, I seem to remember something. Okay, so and you can filter results, as we said. Now going back, so these are pretty much self-explanatory. Are there any questions before we actually move to are my career ready and what it means?
Was there any significance to the 2 additional? Why did it pull those 2 out? The 2
Sorry,
additional occupations.
Let me see. I have to go back. Sorry. Okay, so we did this. Sorry, I have to go back because I was going back and forth to illustrate some things. So I just want to. So here,
So, yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Why does it pull those out?
It pulled those out because it tries to also provide, let's call them sort of contingency occupations or things that you can also look at, basically. So it's additional things that you got. Oh my God, funeral director, wonderful. Okay, and midwife, fantastic. Okay, so yeah, this list contains occupations where school does not offer. Oh, that's it, because it's what is not offered as a major. Okay, this is not offered by UConn, which means if you pursue this, you may want to discuss plans with a counselor. Okay, so they may be coming back to you for that. Okay, what can I do which is closely related to this major? because like, for example, we don't have a major in business analytics for School of Business. What can I do instead? Okay, so something along those lines. So that's one thing. It provides essentially, it goes beyond what UConn specifically offers in terms of major, and saying that, this could also be an area, but we're not able to support you in terms of our majors. Okay. Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, and anything that also missed here. Okay, fine. So, any other question before we go to the career ready? Okay. By the way, let me see if I can find it. Oh, here. Okay, there's some additional options here. What can I do with this major in this? Okay, the problem with these is like the usage of these, explore occupations by job family compared to occupation side by side. It's like, based on our statistics, less than 1% of the student population is doing that. Okay, so they can have a look at this, but very few of them do. They've already had enough with 4 assessment tests plus the career ready test. But it is an option here. Okay, they can go through this and see various things. Okay, it is program of study, so this may actually be something that you may find very useful as academic advisors to go through. Again, if I'm saying something wrong, forgive my ignorance. I'm still trying on my learning curve, trying to better understand what everyone does. But these are some additional tests that they can. And also, there was something else I think that you could do. Let me go out. I think that's very useful. Let me go way out. Oh, it's taking all way out. So, where is that? I think there's a guide. There used to be a guide somewhere here that actually, it's not here. It's not down here. My saved occupations. I'm going to go actually. Oh, I know where it is. So if you go all the way out, you sing this. Yeah, I'm going back to the page now. If you go all the way out, what you can do is tap into this user guide and follow-up activity guide. Okay, this does 2 things. It provides students or you with a step-by-step guide, but it also provides students with the opportunity while they're going through this and following the steps to actually initiate, sort of jot down documents and action steps. Okay, so I reviews favorite occupations. So based on the results, they're able to go back and fill this out. So this is very, very important. Basically, I nearly forgot to talk to you about this. So again, list majors. So it's helping the student better utilize this report that comes out, whether it's an individual report or it's the combined assessment report. So they're able to go through, okay, and this for some reason you will find actually threw me out. Okay, you'll find it actually on the outside page. Let's show you. Come on, go back. I hate it when it does this. And this won't take me there either. Okay, forgive me. Okay, here we go again. Okay, who is served? Let's go to explore careers. So remember that this you will find on the main page of Focus 2 right at the bottom before you enter the resource. Okay, so you won't be looking for it inside. And I think we should actually now have a look at. I think we should make sure that this at least is features in the actual main page, basically. So instead of there, so again. Okay, student website. Here we go again. Okay, so this is something that as career champions you're well aware of in terms of the focus that our university is placing on career readiness. And I'm sure you're all familiar with the 8 competencies, NACE competencies. Is that a fair assumption? That sort of? Okay, so just NACE, basically together with employers of the National Association of Colleges and Employers, together with, well, employers, sat down and conducted some extensive, engaged some extensive research. And this is constantly being updated. And they said that essentially, whether regardless of the industry where the student will decide to venture in, and regardless of the career they will follow on, regardless of the job they will try to secure, there are some core competencies that everyone across industries agrees are core to helping that entry level, that early career individual be successful. Okay, once they start during those initial years, that is so important. Okay, so essentially, what this does is, I'll start over. I'll review the answers. Okay, so first of all, I'm to move the pictures down here. So basically, starts off by, doing exactly that, defining what these competencies are, and if you click on the exclamation mark of every one, it will give you a definition of what this competency is about, how it's being defined by NACE. And also it gives you a snapshot of the various activities that a student can do if they need to further enhance this competency going forward, and also some additional resources. And it does this for every single one of them. So even if you go to technology, it does the same thing. Okay, it says be familiar with technology. Now it has resources under teamwork, the same thing. Resource, for some reason, why only the critical thinking. Let me see the leadership one. Okay, fostering definition, and then some research you can look into. And once you do that, the next step is provide some information. As you see, it's been recently updated, basically based on the job outlook of 2022 at NACE. And it tells us basically, these are responses that they got from employers across the nation. So it's telling them that critical thinking, so what their employers are saying, critical thinking is like super important to us. For 98.5% of employees who responded to this, but we are only finding that 55.8% of the students actually are at an acceptable level of proficiency. And so it goes through this, and then it highlights every single information. So it gives us a bird's eye view. It provides students with a sense of what are the important competencies, and how important they are. So you see. You'll see things like professionalism, other things like technology, for example. It's very closely aligned. Their expectation, how important they consider technology to be, compared to what the level of readiness is in terms of recent graduates. Okay, that's what they're measuring. They're measuring the skill set, the competency level of recent graduates who join their organizations. And as you move on, now you can start doing this. Now, forgive me for this. I just quickly went through this. Obviously, I am, not this, but okay, so continue. So it goes through every single competency. Okay, now if students, I'm going to come back to you now. Parenthesis: if students ask you what a competency is, I think the best way to describe it is the way you combine your skills, knowledge, experiences, even personality traits and values and interests to a certain extent, in order to execute a certain task effectively. Okay, so communication is not only communication, it's good listening, it's being able to influence, it's all sorts of things. And through this assessment, it tries to touch upon all these areas. Are you good with writing professional email? Are you good at delivering oral presentations? Are you good are you able to influence people through your ideas? So it goes through, tries to analyze each competency, break it down into specific skills, and then put it back together. So you have an overview, an overall understanding of where you stand in terms of things like communication, teamwork, technology. Okay, I don't know how much of that is a competency, but that's nice. They decided to put it down as a competency. Leadership, of course, and then some of the most recent: professionalism, career self-development, equity and inclusion. And once you get your results, okay, sorry. Once you get results, you'll see it tells you for each one of these competencies whether it's a highly developed, very highly developed competency or not so developed. So what happens now is it tells you, so you have perfect score in communication. This is not a realistic score, obviously, but and then it tells you what else. But more importantly, when you continue, it's going to start doing this. For every single one of those competencies, it's going to, first of all, tell you where you are. So my critical thinking skills are moderately developed, and then it will recommend a series of actions that the student can take in order to enhance those critical thinking skills and competencies, basically. Okay, and And then you can, the student, it's interactive, so you can, put inside that I'm currently doing this in order to do this, so they keep a record what they're doing. And there's also additional resources they can tap into. And here they give you some sample behaviors. Again, this is good in explaining what exactly they mean, because when I first read, when I first went to the assessment center, my sort of complaint was that some of the examples they're giving that will help students rate themselves are things that the students won't really come into touch with until they're actually well into their jobs. They might not understand the context of some of the questions they're asked to rate, basically some of the phrases that are actually asked to rate. But in going through this, I see there's a lot of help in helping whoever's taking the test better understand what this means. Okay, so it provides some additional context in being proactive, anticipating needs, instead of purely based on what they saw in the actual assessment test. Then everything they can do, they can print this, and this is the case for every single one of them. So I'm not going to bore you with details, but it does exactly. So very highly developed. As you see, it tells you a few more things you can do. And I don't know what the exact algorithm is behind it, when it determines that you need to do X activities, but not Y activities in order to develop those things, that it assumes that you're already at a certain level. So maybe my explanation is that, you only need to do this going forward. So if you're already sort of a semi-accomplished leader, then maybe you don't have to do the basic stuff, you can do this. Or if you're an accomplished communicator, but only need to do something very small, maybe you don't need to do anything, or there's only one thing you need to do that we recommend, as the system recommends that you do. Continue. I think we're getting to end. Okay, leadership skills. Let's quickly go through this. I don't think there's anything. I'm trying to see if there's any additional reports here, but I think that's it. Sample behaviors. Yeah, sample behaviors are very important. But, okay, so dare I say, in a nutshell, that's it. It's something that potentially students will not be able to do, in one sort of sit down and do the whole thing. I tend to sometimes choose, so depending on some of Ida knows that, for example, for some of the workshop, we said do this and this assessment, and some of other people workshops I've run, I've said, yeah, have the students do, the value assessment, the personality assessment, and this assessment here, the welcome thing, and we leave it at that. Okay, so it's up to you deciding on, depending on what it is you want to accomplish, whether you think, you will recommend to the student that they fully utilize this tool and then use this as part of their discussion with whoever it is they're talking about, or whether it's they can select certain parts of the assessments in order to serve a specific purpose, basically, if that's the case. So with that, I want to see if there's something in the chat. See the question. Oh, thank you, Monica. Good eye. Okay, really, it is. Wow, that's a biggie. Okay, yes. Okay, thank you. I'm going to jot that down on. Okay, Coral. Oh wow, yeah. And what a word to choose. Yes, to misspell. Okay, of all words. Okay, good. Seventh competency. Okay, fine. So, any other questions? Thank you, Jess.
Yeah. Does it matter what order students do this in? Like you took us to the assessments before the career ready.
Okay.
Does it matter?
Yes. Look, very good question. So I was told in the beginning that maybe it's from some of my colleagues were discussing the tool. I hadn't really used it, said, what do you definitely do? Yeah, we want to focus on the career readiness thing. From my point of view, it's more useful to do the other tests first. Okay, to get a sense of what your interests are, and then you can say, okay, now that we've done this, we need to now shift our focus to the actual competencies that I will have to use. However, I do anticipate there will be instances when someone, say, for example, is pretty confident about where they are in terms of their interests, in terms of their skills and the rest of it. So they want to go straight to the career ready competencies. We feature that up there because it's our main focus. Okay, as a university, as a Center for Career Development, career readiness, although it's not only about competencies, is what we're choosing at this point in time to focus heavily on. We want students to understand that they need to start building or enhancing those competencies so they can achieve success regardless of the profession that they end up in. Okay, but yeah, so I would just leave it up to you. Okay, whatever you feel you think based on what their needs are. But yeah, I usually tell them start with other things and then move up, because sometimes, you know, it's important for me, at least personally, it's important that we're 100% sure that they understand how they're able to define themselves to start with, and they can build on that after that. So the principle, you know, branding is, I know my brand, I'm able to define it, and now I'm going to build on that brand, you know, to make myself relevant for my target audience out there, whatever that target audience is, versus looking at the competence first and then saying, let me discover who I am. Okay, so that's the way I do it, at least.
Okay, thanks.
There's no one way of doing this.
Okay.
Sorry, the spam call. Okay, anyone else have questions? Any comments, anything they don't like about this tool or my presentation? I'm okay with that. I love learning. Any other spelling mistakes, Monica?
I was just going to ask, what percent of our students ever take this assessment? Do we know?
Yeah. So essentially, actually, allow me very quickly, because I did it quite recently over the summer, but I don't remember the numbers off by heart. So what you see is good. Thank you for bringing that, Monica. I'm making it up. So first of all, what you see is heavy usage during the first year, and then they disappear and they re-engage you in the senior year. And that's a problem. Okay, it's good they're engaging in the first year, but it's a problem that they're not engaging it for their sophomore year and their junior year. That's a problem. Also, we saw that because the career ready assessment was actually introduced later after the initial test had been included, we're still looking at the data, but we've seen a sharp increase in the use of the career competence test. Okay, that number one there's a lot of focus. Now, looking at the other statistics, essentially, I would say let me see. If I can quickly bring up the Excel. I mean, if you have a minute, if I can find it, sorry. Otherwise I'll just have to circle back. I'm still going to answer that question that Jess had. Okay, so I'm just going to go through here. STEM rubrics, placement, focus. Actually, I know where it is. Sorry. Too many files for your projects. Tech stack, focus 2. Oh, good. There it is. Okay. Completed all assessments. So I'm going to open this. Do I have any assessment results? No, this is the main file. So I'm going to go back and open. Okay. So this may sound interesting. Now, these are slightly outdated. Please keep that in mind. But essentially, you know, I was trying to break down the data in various ways. The ones that have the highest usage, as you will see here, across the board, is the work interest one, personality assessment ones, and then leisure and skills, not too bad. And yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not seeing anything. I'm still
You're
seeing
not.
the focus career page.
Okay. Sorry about that. I have to come back. And then thank you for that. Sorry, guys. Why is it not coming back? No, it's going to come back. There you go. So open this up. Sorry, I need to stop sharing and share again. Stop sharing and then share again. So I'm in now. Now you're seeing it, yes? Good. Thank you, Jess. So yeah, so this is just indicative. Okay, so as you see, focus on this here, okay, because some of these numbers are wrong here. The focus here is that, let me just hide these. Hide, okay, and then move to the left. Okay, so in terms of you know, the work interest assessment, is a high percentage of those that did do it. Was, you know, 81% of them, more than 82% of them actually completed the work assessment. versus 55 on the personality, and then 45 leisure. And you see the numbers for the skills assessments and values. Now, as you see, the numbers for some other tests are not great. Okay. And of course, here, these are maybe some really interesting statistics. Again, these are outdated statistics. Please, take this just as an indication, not as actual numbers. We've changed a lot since then. So why are they doing this? So first of all, determine what my job interests are, 46%, to learn more about myself and what applies, and then 12%, 12.79% is other. Now, in full disclosure, I feel that if we were able to also market this out there for students that have a pretty good idea of what they want to do, but they want to find out more about this, then we would see larger numbers come into this, and we'll see people saying, yes, I'm using this tool in order to find out additional stuff about the area that I'm interested in, and not just explore. So it's exploring, career exploration / research, or to verify some things that they have in mind. If they talk to people around them, they tell them X, Y, Z about this job, well, this is a great way to actually go there and see some things, some additional resources about what this job is about. Okay, but these are outdated. We should be presenting things. And Monica, I think overall, I mean, I think until now, since its inception, 2017, roughly 5,000 students have taken this. Okay, it was about 4,000 back in the summer, and it's gone up lately. That's roughly the numbers of the total number. But again, this started back in 2017, and the actual career competency test came in much later. So that's a sample we have at this point in time. That answers your question.
Yep.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, so I will make sure I correct the spelling mistake, and I will also make sure that I'm able to come back to verify with Jess to confirm basically that yes, in order to have the full report, when you open the individual assessments, you will have to have completed all the tests, because it's a good selling point too for students too, that if you do that, you get, it's whatever you put into it, you get out. Okay, so if you want a very comprehensive idea of what it is that is aligns with your interest, then it's worth it, making sure that within the space of a week you're able to complete all these tests. And maybe that's one way of going forwards, breaking it down. I'm trying to think, I'm still myself trying to think about how to do it. So maybe in terms of, I'm doing this workshop or this session with the student. So for your homework, for this assessment, for this meeting, is to do this assessment. Next time we meet and we talk about X, Y, and Z, you'll be doing something else. So integrating that as part of our programming going forward at various stages of our conversations with our students. Okay.
Thanks, Theo.
Fantastic. Anything you need, please reach out. Okay. Anything I haven't answered, please email me directly. And thank you so much for your patience and your time today. And I wish you all a wonderful weekend. Looks like the weather is going to be nice.